What's up, YouTube? Outdoor Gear Dad here. Got another exciting review. So we got a bunch of knife sharpening equipment. I am not an expert with knives. I know that I like them though. They're shiny, they're sharp, and they can cut things. So I do like them. So I don't have a lot of knives, but I have some nice ones. You know, I got some nice kind of bushcraft style, some more tactical style, some multi-tools. And I got some good money in these. So I like to keep them sharp. And typically with like the cheap knives, when they dull out, I just toss them. You know, they're not very expensive, and so I just get rid of them and I buy another cheapie. But some of the more expensive ones, like, like a Benchmade automatic knife, spend several $100s on this. And so I want to keep this around. Some of these more bushcraft style knives that are handmade by some really nice knife makers. These are heirloom style knives. So these will get passed down to my son. And so I want to keep them in top quality. I just don't know anything about sharpening knives. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. I have some whetstones and I've tried that before. And to be honest with you, I just don't have the time. I don't have the time to be lubing up a stone and sharpening knives and learning how to do the proper techniques. So I was listening to a podcast and this product came up, the Work Sharp knife sharpener, the Ken Onion edition. And I thought, man, that would be just kind of the ideal solution. Not too much thinking involved. It runs on power, so it's a lot faster. And so I reached out and I got the whole setup here. I got the actual sharpener itself. I got the grinding attachment, and then they also sent over this sharpening guide system, which will basically allow you to do a little bit more of a manual process. But again, I don't know anything about it yet. I haven't opened these up. I haven't read the instructions. So this review is definitely coming from an outdoor dad that has no idea about sharpening knives. And we're gonna give it a whirl. We're gonna see how it goes, and I'm gonna give my honest opinion, my honest feedback on it, my honest thought. At the end of the day, if I can take a knife that's not very sharp and have it cut into a piece of paper, razor thin, or doing a feather stick, to me, that's a win. So let's get these opened up and check out what's inside. All right, so first up here, we've got the actual knife and tool sharpener. This is the Ken Onion edition. Packaged nicely. I hate it when I spend money on something and the packaging sucks. I know that the packaging ends up in the trash anyway, but I just like how if you were to take a look at this box, like you would clearly know what you were buying by picking up this box. One cool thing that I really like is this little QR code up here that says watch demo. If you scan that with your phone, it'll take you out to YouTube, and there's a really nice overview on how to use this sharpener. So if you're more of a visual person, which I definitely am, I'm not big on reading instructions, that was really handy. Also comes with, obviously, instructions. I haven't even opened these up yet, so I imagine this is how to use it, stuff about their warranty, etc. Comes with some extra belts of different grits, all the way from coarse up to, I don't know, what do you call it, less coarse. And then there's this Quickstart guide. This was the cardboard divider actually inside the packaging. So this is cool. I haven't really read this yet, but this walks you through, it looks like everything, like how are you going to use your knife? How sharp do you want it? What is the current condition? So at a quick glance, if I spent a couple of minutes looking at this, I would probably get a better understanding of exactly which belt to use and how to do it. So I'm going to take a second here. I'm going to, and then obviously, forgot, it comes with the sharpener. This is the device right here. So I'm going to take a second. I'm going to read through this stuff, and then I'll give you a better overview on what I've learned. All right, so I've taken some time. I've gone through the instructions here. The instructions are very detailed. It kind of goes over all of the components of the actual sharpener itself, the different belts. Earlier, fine was the word that I was looking for. Not not coarse. So the bands, the 5 different bands, extra coarse, coarse, medium fine, and extra fine, talks to you about those different bands, gives you just, how to use things, what to expect. Pretty self-explanatory, but again, watch this video that's on the box on this QR code because it does make it a lot easier. So just to go over just real quick some of the components of this, it is powered, so you do plug it in. There is a trigger here that gets this thing moving. The speed dial is this red one on the bottom, and then there's a locking button. So if you don't want to have to be holding this the whole time, the trigger, you can push it in, push the button, which will keep it just running, and then when you lightly click the button, it will turn it off. So it looks like this. Easy enough. As far as this goes, there's a button here where you can actually take this off. This will allow you to put the grinder on, which we'll do a little bit later. And it also allows you to adjust the angle of this. So if you're using it on the desk like this and you're sharpening your knife, but then you want to, maybe turn it this way and you want to do your axe like this, you can adjust this. The belts, there's a button right here that allows you to easily slide the belt on. So you can put the belts over the top here, on the bottom here, and then you just push this in. I guess I should have done that part first. Slide this over the bottom, and then just slide that up, and that will give you the ability to put on this belt. Now, mind you, the reason that it's taking me so long to do this is because this is literally the first time that I've had to put on the belt. So there you go. Even for somebody as unexperienced as me, I've been able to put that on very easily. Got the different belts here. So we're gonna give this a shot. The knife that I'm going to work on is this Buck 110. These are readily available. Nothing too flashy about it, but they are made in America. They are nice knives. Nice little hunting, everyday carry knife. And so by just using the Quickstart guide here, I see that I am going to say that this is a hunting knife. And then it asks me, do I want it sharp for bragging rights, everyday carry, or hunting? And so I'm going to use this for hunting. So how beat up is your knife? Neglected or dull? This is not a dull knife. It's definitely neglected though. So now it shows me exactly what I need to do here. It says that I need to have the angle at 25. We're going to put it on a medium speed, and then it tells me what belts I'm going to use and how many passes I'm going to use. So I'm going to follow this exact and see how sharp I can get this knife. One thing I didn't mention on here is 2 things. This is the edge guide right here. So if you have a longer knife that you're running through this, this will actually support the blade as it's running through. And then on the back here is where you set your angles. So this is where you can set it. So this one says that I need to be at a 25. So I'm going to put it right at 25. And we're going to get started here. So I've got the appropriate band on. This is the P120 band. And if I look in here, is there anything else I need to tell you about that band? This is just the extra coarse. So we're going to start with this band. It says that we are going to do 1 to 2 strokes per side. Now the instructions say that once you've set your angle, you're going to put your knife in there and you're just going to lightly press it up against this block right here. You're not going to force it in there, but that's just going to be kind of your guide, and you're just going to run it through. And then when you get to about midway, you're just going to roll it and stop it and pull it off. Okay? So we're going to do 1 here, 2 here. Then on this side, we're going to do 1 here, 2 here. So let's just let's take a look. One. Okay. I also realized that I was on the high speed there and it recommended the medium speed. So I'm going to turn it down a little bit and we'll do the other side now. Okay, so we've done 2 passes on that. Camera's going to be kind of hard to pick up what that looks like. But I can definitely feel a little bead starting on this side, so I'm just going to hit it one more time on this side. And for safety, we'll just do it to this side. All right, feeling pretty good. Now it does say that you should go about 1 inch per second as far as pulling it through. So now we just need to change belts. Looks like the next belt is we are going to use the X65 belt, which is the coarse. So this was extra coarse. We are going to go to coarse. The belts are colored too. You can see that they have different colors to them. So we've now moved from the coarse. Now we will go up to the extra coarse. So this time it says we're going to do 6 to 10 passes per side. So let's give that a shot. All right, we've done 6. Now, same thing for the X22 band. And same thing, 6 to 10. All right. So this thing is definitely starting to get real sharp here. Last one, we're going to use the X4. The one thing I do wish, I wish these bands were like labeled. Oh, they are. Never mind, I'm dumb. They are. They say right inside. So if you're not good with colors, well, I guess not. Maybe not all of them are labeled. All right, never mind. Not all of them are labeled. Thought they were. So the next one, the next band we're going to use is the X4, which is the fine, which is going to be the second to most fine band. All right. Let's now take a look at how this is done. So we've just completed this knife. I will say this knife is definitely sharper, significantly sharper than it was. But it's not as sharp as I would want it. And I think that's because this takes a little bit of practice. I noticed that keeping the blade steady and also, being cognizant of the fact that it has to be resting on this right here as you pull it out, it's easy to, make this kind of a mindless thing, and then next thing you know, you're not doing it properly. The other thing is with this kind of quick start guide, depending on how sharp you want it and what it's being used for, you do a different setup. So this knife is way sharper than it was. It took me all of about 3 minutes to do it. And I would use this knife in the field as it is right now. I think I can get this knife even sharper. So I'm going to play around with some of the different settings and some of the different techniques and see how sharp I can get this knife. But first, I also wanted to mention a couple other things. You can do serrated blades on this, and I'll show you how to do that. I'll grab one of my serrated blades and I'll show you how they recommend that. And you can also do the hooks. So if you have a knife that has like a skinning hook on the back, you could do that as well, or a gut hook. And it's a very easy process to be able to put it on the band and sharpen it up. I'm also going to grab a kitchen knife real quick and see how sharp I can get that. So stay tuned. So I just wrapped up this kitchen knife. This puppy is nice and sharp. I feel so much better doing it a second time. I really paid attention to the angle at which I was pulling it out, making sure that I was just taking my time with it. This knife was the first time I'd ever used this, and I wanted you to see what it was like for the first time. So I will probably go back and do this knife again based on the fact that I actually feel like I know what I'm doing somewhat. But this knife is definitely sharp. I'm gonna do this on the instructions, although I probably shouldn't because I'm gonna most likely need these again. But you can see, I mean, this thing is cutting razor sharp. So very, very happy with this. Ooh, baby, don't mess with that. That is legit. I like it. Go buy one. It's sweet. Okay, so let's talk about a couple other things. This blade guide back here can come off. It's basically just a little tension screw right here that you use an Allen wrench, and this thing just slides right off. And what that will do is it will remove this piece so that you have full access to the band. So with a band on there, I'll show you what I mean. Well, it's not in there, so it won't be tight, but it'll give you full access to this band. That's how you're going to do the serrated portions. So the serrated portions, you're basically just going to go on the flat side only, and you're just going to run it up like that. And that's going to give you that nice, sharp, serrated portion. It does talk about that in the video. You do the same thing with the gut hook. You would go on the flat side against it. A few seconds. All right, so this is the sharpener. Now let's open up the grinder attachment to take a look at that. Now we're going to talk about the blade grinding attachment. This is a sold separately attachment that gives you a more customizable solution. Really lets you, it's a little bit more of a manual process. There's not a guide necessarily, but you can do a lot of really cool work with this. Again, I don't know anything about this, so as far as me saying, oh, you can do a lot of really cool work, I'm just assuming because the pictures look awesome and they have really great reviews. But I'm going to test it out because I'm going to see what I think about it. So inside of this, there was an instruction book. Teaches you how to attach it, how to sharpen your knife with it. It came with some more of the grinding belts. These belts are bigger than the other ones. You can see they're just a bigger belt. And then it came with a tightening plug, and I'll show you how that works. So this attachment just pops right off. You're then going to take your grinding attachment, you're going to line it up and stick it in. Now once it's in there, that's where you take this little plug and you're just going to screw it on in. And that's just going to tighten it so it's not going anywhere. I've got this on. One of the things I'll show you is just how you tighten or how you adjust the angle here. So there's a little tension knob on the back. If you just loosen it enough, then you can actually move this. You can see how those gears are moving. And that just adjusts the angle right there. So you put it to your desired angle, tighten up that, and you're set. When you're installing the band, one of the really easy ways of doing it is if you push this in and then you just rotate it. That'll actually lock this in place. And then you can take the band of your choosing, slip it on here, pull it over here, and then you're just going to slowly release that. Now, this knob right here, this is what is going to adjust the belt to be aligned. So it's a, I think the term they use for it here is it is a tracking knob. So by turning this tracking knob, it will actually adjust. I don't know if you can see this, but when I turn it, you can see how it moves the belt. It moves the belt to the desired position. All right, yeah, you can definitely tell that this puppy will actually really crank. This thing will crank. So if you want to do some more custom work or really get a tip good or really find out that edge, this grinder attachment is going to be awesome. All right, so just final thoughts. Again, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to knives. However, I do know this. I picked up this sharpener having no experience with sharpening knives, and I've gotten a kitchen knife, this Buck 110, and my everyday carry Benchmade razor sharp. Now, these knives were already sharp. They weren't dull by any means, but I've never sharpened them. And I've got these things now, I mean, as sharp as they are, I mean, that just gets me excited. This knife was not that sharp. It did take a little bit of practice. It took a little bit of time just getting the angle right and making sure that you're just being conscientious of what you were doing. I had to get used to which belt was what. Some of them are marked. Not all of them have a very clear marking. So just knowing, most of people who have been doing this for a while will be able to just feel and tell the differences. But for somebody who's new to it like me, it was important that I knew I was putting the right band on. However, if you did mess it up, I mean, you just start over again. Wouldn't be a big deal. I love this thing. I think this thing is awesome. I'm really excited to do the rest of my knives and play around with the blade grinder and just see what else we can do with it. The last item that I didn't actually review was the Sharpening Stone. So let me go inside and let's take a look at that. All right, so this last product here is really, this is going to be a sharpening system with also a honing tool. So to get in there and really polish things off, or if you're doing a serrated blade or something like that, you have this honing tool. So this has two angles. It's got a 20 degree and a 17 degree. You adjust those by just pulling them off and flipping them around. It's magnetic right here. So this little metal piece, it just kind of snaps in there magnetically. That's really nice. And then it comes with two plates. It comes with the a diamond plate here and then a real fine diamond plate to really get a nice sharp edge. There is a locking mechanism here. If you were doing a curved blade, you would keep this unlocked and that will allow it to pivot. And what that means is if you were doing, as you were coming across, you would want it to be able to pivot as you rotate it or as you angle it. And then you can lock this if you're doing a straight edge and you can go straight across. So depending on what you're doing, this will be really easy to use. I haven't played with it enough. I probably got to get a couple of my just cruddier knives just to run it across here and see how it works. And then this honing tool, you can actually rotate it to get different sizes. So if you really need to get in there on something like a serrated, like I said, a serrated blade, or let's see what else it showed in here. you know, axes, things like that, tools. Again, I don't think this will get as used as much as the powered sharpener out there, but this is also a really good option. It's something that's good to have around if you just want to polish something off real quick, or you need to hit the, you know, just a part of the serrated part of your blade just to file it up. I think this would be a really good option. So just my final thoughts here. I didn't go into detail on a lot of this stuff, and that's partially because I haven't had enough time with it. But I wanted to really show what my experience was going to be like first time using this stuff. I've never used any of these products again, and I got a few blades out there just absolutely razor sharp. Wouldn't have been able to do that with the stuff that I had around my house. I probably could have taken the time to learn how to do some of that, but I honestly don't have time to do that. The only reason I have time to even make this video review is because I left work early today. So wanted you to see that. The prices on these things vary, so you'll have to look. I know Amazon carries them, so it's probably going to be one of the cheaper places to get it, but definitely go check them out. The Ken Onion Edition Work Sharp sharpening system, it's been awesome. It's making my knives extremely sharp, and it's going to save me a lot of time trying to learn other things. So I definitely recommend it. Check it out. I'm sure with time I will get even better and be able to do it more efficiently and effectively and get all of my stuff pristine. This is Outdoor Gear Dad. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, comment below, and if you have anything else that you want to see just your average dad review, put it in the comments and I'll make sure to get back to you. Thanks for watching.